Nightwing number 15, written by Kyle Higgins, art by Eddie Barrows. This is a tie-in to Death of the Family, like every other Bat book nowadays. And last issue we left off with Joker breaking Raya, the antagonist from the first arc, out of prison. And this issue picks up in Gotham City, where Jimmy the Clown from the new Haley Circus at Amusement Mile he's got posters all over Gotham City of him in clown makeup. And, he's also got, green hair and stuff like that. So it is vaguely Joker-esque. But basically, the other circus workers are giving him a hard time, saying, oh, yeah, your mug's all over Gotham. It'd be hard for anyone to miss him. And they go back to their different places, and Jimmy says he's going out to grab a drink. And as he makes his way down an alley, he is jumped by the Joker, who is, of course, I don't see the resemblance at all. And then he gasses Jimmy, and then he's like, oh, wait, there it is. Now I see it. So Jimmy got gassed with Joker toxin. And then we cut over to Nightwing, who's flying around town with Batgirl, just okay, so based off of Batman number 15, the Joker has to know who we are, right? Batman thinks he doesn't, but he does. That's the only explanation. And Batgirl's maybe you should focus on your own stuff right now and leave the Joker stuff to Batman. As much as I don't like Joker, maybe you should do that. And he's like, yeah, all right. So Batgirl goes off and does her thing. And then Nightwing gets a call from Sonya, I guess calling for Dick. And she's like, hey, you need to get to Amusement Mile. Jimmy's dead. And so he takes off the Nightwing outfit, goes down to Amusement Mile, and we see Jimmy is strung up on the entrance with a sign around his neck saying nobody likes a knockoff. And he just starts freaking out. He's sobbing. He's like, excuse me, is everyone okay? Is everyone good? And everyone's like, Dick, they killed Jimmy, man. No, we're not okay. And he's like, yep, nope, I get that. Everyone pack up your stuff. Leave Gotham immediately. You're not safe here. Don't stay with friends. Don't stay with families. You're going to stay in random hotels or friends of friends of friends. Okay? Got it? And the little girl on the trapeze comes up to Dick and he's like, hey, that lady Raya who murdered circus people, maybe you should keep an eye on her as well, as he shows her that the Joker broke her out. So then we meet up with Raya, who is seemingly at an abandoned airplane factory, I guess, an air yard at least. And she wakes up and looks around, and Joker's like, hey, don't ask too many questions yet. You'll ruin the surprise. So we cut back over. Dick is watching all the circus folk leave. They're all going on their separate ways. And sun's coming up. He's extremely tired. He decides to go home and just get a little bit of caffeine. But first he has to do one last thing. And he goes to the morgue to investigate a lead on Jimmy's body. He takes a blood sample from Jimmy and starts analyzing it. Meanwhile, Sonya calls him up and says, hey, Dick, what happened to Jimmy wasn't your fault, but if you want to stop construction for a while, I need you to swing by here and sign some paperwork. And he's like, can that literally wait until any other time? I'm a little busy right now. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm still in Gotham. I didn't leave when you told me to. And he's like, why didn't you? All right, fine. I guess I'll be by soon. So he analyzes the blood in Jimmy's Joker toxin, and turns out that there is a little bit of airplane fuel, like jet fuel in it, so he's going to use that as his lead. And he makes his way out of the morgue, heads over to Sonya's. And Sonya is, of course, just like, hey, here's the paperwork. Look, I know he was a friend of yours. It really isn't your fault, though. Everything's going to be okay. And she's just comforting him, and in their moment of weakness, they kiss, and immediately through Dick's head is all oh, wait, you're the daughter of the guy who killed my parents. So let's step back a little bit. And in that moment, he gets a text, something he has to pay attention to. To be fair, I don't actually know what the text is for. It just says the chemical analysis result. But he already saw there was jet fuel on an earlier page, so I guess this is just narrowing it down. Either way, he says he has to go. So he makes his way down to the local. They have a whole thing in here of it was some company that was spying on Wayne Tech for corporate espionage, and now they're bankrupt and what. They just make airplanes. So at that point, Joker's over like the intercom just saying, "Good, glad you found my message. You were being all serious and whatnot. Had to get you in on this joke." And he's attacked by someone who looks like the Joker, and he throws that person out of the way. But when that person steps in the light, wouldn't you know it, it's Raya. She got Jokerized as well. And Joker's like, "Yep, all right, well, that's pretty much all I want. It's my knockoff versus Batman's knockoff. Fight." And so he leaves, and they get into a pretty hardcore fight, obviously, since she's trained in all the circus stuff as well. And slowly she starts to slow down a bit, have a few more gaps, and Dick thinks that she's fighting against the Joker toxin, but it turns out no, the Joker toxin is just too much for her, and she is actually dying. And as she falls down to the ground, Dick pulls out some antitoxin, stabs her in the leg with it, and she's like, "I'm sorry for everything." And Dick says that he tries CPR for 10 minutes before he stops, but it turns out she's dead, and there's nothing he can do. And in the last little thing here, we see written on her stomach is a note from the Joker saying, "There's a surprise party at Amusement Mile hosted by Haley Circus." So he now has to run his way back to Amusement Mile to stop whatever the Joker has planned. To be continued next month. I enjoyed this. I think it did a good job of taking out these two characters, because these were characters that since the beginning of the series, really, we have been given reason to care about. We have been introduced to, and to kill them here adds weight to the story. It makes it feel like this isn't like, oh no, not Tom the accountant that we introduced last issue. It's like, no, these are people who you have gotten to know, who you have a familiarity with. So it adds a little bit of extra weight that I think makes it a strong tie-in overall. Art-wise, good. It doesn't feel like an unnecessary issue. It feels like a good next step. So overall, I'm gonna say this is like a 7.5. This is really good. So the only critique I would really have is the fact that in every other one of the Joker's appearances for these tie-ins, he's been very intimately involved of like, oh, I know this and I know that, and I'm going to personally make your life hell. This one, he's just like, okay, you're going to fight her now, bye, and then leaves to go do something else, which seems a bit out of character from what we know, but it makes for a better story, honestly. So yeah, 7.5, really do enjoy it.